Hey everybody, welcome to Spill the Novelty, where three girlies shout into the void about our latest book hot takes and obsessions. I'm Abby,
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaylee.
and this week we're spilling the tea about A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. So if you've read the popular Bridge Kingdom, or if you were curious about a Norse-inspired romance and fantasy, which we definitely were, here's the tea.
Okay, so just gonna get right into it. We start out the book with a character named Freya. And Freya, she really wants to be this like badass warrior, like real bad, but instead she's a fishmonger who is married to Froggy.
Froggy.
Who
We're
he
just gonna call him Froggy, so be with us.
We're gonna call him
Froggy.
because that's what it
Yeah.
sounded like in the audiobook, and that's what I thought his name was. So. But he just sucks. He's the worst. He's awful. And Freya, she seemed okay, I guess. I couldn't really think of too much that was like noteworthy about her, except for like sometimes her thoughts are a little bit more relatable than other characters I've read. Like she'll be like, I kind of don't care if my brother and his wife die. Okay, wait, that's not relatable.
So relatable.
Oops. I think about that all the time.
I'm not saying that's relatable.
The
that came out very wrong.
Speak your truth, queen.
No, that's not what I'm saying. This started out really bad. Anyway, I'm saying that it's relatable to be, you know what? I don't know what I'm saying. Let's just skip over that.
Slay.
But I was here for her like, I'm saying like honest thoughts, like,
yes.
You know, like she's not like holier than thou all the time where she's like, no, that would be so immoral. She's like,
she's but
let me consider that other side a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I liked. And she was brave, I guess, right? But I can't really say much else about Freya.
Yeah.
She was brave, sure. She was fine. She was fine. She definitely did think of the other side many times, and so her thought process to me was pretty painful because it was just like a constant looping and like never really settling anywhere, and like just kind of like confusing herself enough that she lands on like just inaction and like lets things passively happen how they're gonna happen. And also, for like the love of God, do not ask her to recognize a pattern. Like, baby girl has never rubbed two brain cells together to come to like
so
a critical thought. Like, oh my God, there's stuff in this book that's like so heavy-handed with like foreshadowing and like the twists, and like Freya just straight over her head. Like she's like, that's not my business. Even if it is her business, she's like, I don't need to know. I'm not gonna ask any questions. I'm not gonna make any waves. I'm just gonna chill and be existing. What I will say,
no critical thoughts
welcome
head
here.
empty.
Nope, only hot man. What I will say about Freya is I appreciated the attempt at making a character who was like not good at stuff, but I don't think the execution really worked because her using her power, I think it succeeded like basically every time. And so her being bad at stuff really was just like her tripping and falling every time they do anything. It was just like her being clumsy to the like, and that like that's the tension in like every damn scene where they do anything. Like, she trips and then someone goes to catch her and they die. She falls down a mountain on the way up to the mountain.
She falls down a mountain.
A hill,
sorry. The most relatable aspect of her character. Yeah.
And like there's like 3 or 4 separate times where she just like stumbles, and like I listen, I am so clumsy. I know this would be me, but like when you're writing a book, I need you to do something different sometimes. Like that can't be the tension or like the problem every single time, bro. It made me genuinely like dislike her and find her useless. I'm like, she is such a problem.
And it's always so predictable too, because they were like, Freya, you're gonna fall down the mountain, and she was like, no, I'm not, and then she falls down the mountain. Yeah. But I did think it was funny, I will say. I did think it was funny how it was built up to believe she was this like badass warrior, like she was going to be so good at fighting. And then she's actually not that good at fighting. I actually did find that a little bit funny. I was like, okay.
It is funny because, like you said, like she really wants to be a warrior. Like she thinks it's her dream. And then like 2 battles in, she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, okay, that is girly pop of you. That's true.
This gives like when we were in middle school and we were all reading Divergent, everyone really wanted to be Dauntless, and then I remember being like, you know what, I don't think I could jump off the like building into like the little pit or whatever. I was like, and that's the first step. If you can't do that, then you don't get in. And I was like, literally. Well, I just don't really want to do that, but otherwise I could definitely do this.
I'd like
you know how there are quizzes that you can take? I would take the quiz. I took it like multiple times to figure out what were they called, faction I was in. And I took it multiple times until I got Dauntless, but I kept getting like, I think I kept getting, what's the one that she is? She starts with an A. It's like,
oh, Abnegation.
Abnegation. I kept getting that one. And I was like, this is so lame.
But it's okay, because when you were honest, you got Dauntless, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think my thing with Freya, to that point, just everything is an easy, like, is a random kind of like easy out, like the weird, we'll get into like the weird waterfall thing at the end. I don't know, when they fight that like skeleton thing, and I don't know, she just like so easily overcomes these little like struggles that she has, and so I felt like she had a lot of potential as an interesting character, but just kind of fell short for me. So yeah. Didn't hate her, just kind of like neutral, like not very excited either. So
yeah,
it was just
nothing unique.
Nothing.
Yep, that's
so because this book probably does not pass the Bechdel test, we can't talk about her without talking about Bjorn. So
Bjorn.
Bjorn. How do we? Okay, wait. Actually, how am I supposed to pronounce his name?
Bjorn.
I think it's just Bjorn. Oh,
yeah. My bad. But
Bjorno is way funnier. So
I like Bjorn.
Just do that.
Bjorn.
Not just
Bjorn. Bjorn. Okay, so Bjorn is this character who she meets almost immediately, and we have beef with that too. But anyway, he has a mysterious backstory where he was kidnapped by this other Jarl for like 10 years. He was allegedly saved by his dad. His mother is allegedly dead because she died in a fire when he was super young. And so he just has like this very tragic backstory. Sounds like he's going to be this interesting character, potential for this interesting love interest. But you hear, once again, I've said potential probably 5 times. When it comes to Bjorn, I just didn't care. There were some really cool threads, again, with his backstory, wondering where his loyalties lie. Like, I think that there was a lot of possibility for him to be this really good counterpart to Freya, but he just wasn't. And then he becomes obsessed with her, and that takes away any of his supposed like personal motivations for being like this war hero and everything. Like, everything that he claims about himself and that others claim about him just falls flat ultimately. So that's my thought on him.
Yeah.
And can we just talk about his dialogue for a second? His dialogue was the worst in the book. It was so bad. I've actually got some examples, okay?
Oh, God.
80 times. He said it at least 80 times. He said, I will be at your back until I cross the threshold to Valhalla. Born in Fire. And he calls her Born in Fire every 5 minutes because that's like her name. Oh my God,
please.
It's like Born in Fire. It's like her pet name. And then he says things like, you are mine, Born in Fire, and I am yours. And then,
even if we're the only 2 people that know it.
Yeah. We're the only 2 people, yes. And my favorite, he says, not all scars we earn are skin deep, Freya Born in Fire. And it's like, Danielle L. Jensen really thinks she did something with all these quotes. Yeah. Like, she thinks she's creating this like really dynamic man. He's like not afraid to say these emotional things to this one woman and never to anyone else, because he's like such a badass to everyone else, but he's so sensitive around Freya, and it's like, oh my god, it's so cringe. His quotes are so
Yeah.
cringe. It's
And
awful.
honestly, I really think you cooked Abby, because I think Bjorno is the perfect metaphor for what he is giving, because he really thinks he can
Buongiorno.
access delivery, but he is frozen pizza. You know what I mean? Like
He
he
is.
thinks he's doing
Tea.
it, but it's like the most bland, like, go girl, give us nothing again, which is why they're a great fit for each other, actually, because they both give us nothing. But like he's built up to be this like really cool warrior, and like he's willing to fight everybody and blah 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 blah. And it kind of works with his backstory, which I do think is an interesting backstory, even though it's not really given the space to be interesting in this book.
Mm-hmm.
But like he feels like so edgy, and he's like, I just don't care. Like I just want battle fame. Like I don't have anything else to care for. Like I don't have family. Blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really interesting, except that like around Freya, he's like some sissy ass little baby back bitch, and because like as soon as she starts killing people, he's like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Why are you killing people?
True. He's like impossible to understand, and not in the sexy kind of way. In the like,
Yeah.
what do you what?
And he
kind
like
of
holds her
personality
back
trait do you have?
constantly.
Yes.
He's like
Yes.
he like makes decisions for her, and he like whenever she like wants to go like fight someone or something, he like forcibly holds her back. He like doesn't let this woman make any of her own decisions. It's like, ugh, so ick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he
He just
doesn't.
is an ick.
Yeah,
He's an ick.
and to that point too, like, to be fair, we haven't read this book in a while, but I know we all liked Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I remember something that we did like about it was the kind of dynamic and relationship between our two leads, and I think, especially when it comes to things like letting a female lead character, yeah, defend herself, take care of herself, seeing her as like a counterpart, and or if you want to protect someone, it's because you care about them, but not for lack of their own ability, and not to control who they are. But yeah, so there's a way that you can write that protectiveness in without it being this like weird controlling, just, I don't know, icky.
I found another quote. He says,
Oh no.
I used to dream only of fire and ash. Now when I close my eyes, all I see is your face.
It's such bullshit, dude.
It's like, that's not true. That's just false.
Doesn't happen.
Nobody would say that.
Oh my god.
That's
And how boring,
yeah.
anyway. Like, I used to only see fire and ash.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck does that mean?
So simple. Yeah.
Are you dreaming about campfires? Like, are we making s'mores? What does
Yeah,
this mean?
Like what is going on? And we're kind of bleeding into like talking about their relationship as a whole, but like I cannot help but mention that like by the end of the book, he has had like one goal, allegedly, this whole time. That's like, oh yeah, I want to get vengeance on the person that killed my mom, on the man that killed my mom. Who, well, Freya thinks it's King Harland or whatever. Even when he recounts the story to her and it's not the king, she's like, word, that's confirmation it's the king. Whatever, it's fine, no critical thoughts here, I don't need to talk about it again. But like then at the end of the book, when they like officially get together, he's like, actually my own personal motivations and goals no longer mean anything to me, and I will simply go wherever you go and do whatever you want me to do. What do you mean? Yeah. That is so boring. Like, I don't understand why this is such a common like trope, because it's not interesting, and like it's not what I want from a partner. Like, I want you to have goals and ambitions that we work towards together.
Yes.
I don't want you to conform,
which includes
to like, my wins.
The person you're with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should actually we should go back to the meeting because I think it's funny.
Oh yes, true.
Then let's go back to the meeting first. So basically, so we should talk about who Bjorn is, right? So he's a Jarl's son. Did we already cover that? He's the Jarl's son that lives in this kingdom that Freya also lives in. And like she's like fishmongering one day. She's still married to Froggy, and then he like shows up and he's like, "Oh, I want to bang this woman," and then she's like,
That's like
She's like,
literally
okay,
exactly what
maybe.
happens.
And then she's like, I'm married though. And he's like, oh, who's your husband? And then she's like, well, it's so and so. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go kill him right now. And she's like, maybe don't do that. But like, I kind of want you to, but maybe don't. And then he's like, I'm gonna do it. And then they just go back and forth where she's like, I don't think you should do that. And he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go kill your husband. And then they're both having this like inner dialogue of like, I really want to bang this person. And then it's very, there's no slow burn. It's just like, it's not even insta love, it's like insta lust, and it's really icky. It's just,
And
it's
it's
disgusting.
So yeah.
And that's their whole relationship.
Just obscenely weird. And like, here's the thing is that there could have been a good setup there where, you know, so she just had this bad interaction with Froggy. She's left kind of, or Froggy, she's left kind of,
say it correctly.
Yeah, Froggy. I can't say Bajorno correctly, but I will say Froggy. So Froggy, she and Froggy have their like, have a moment, they beef, whatever, and then she's left like with these, like she's by water, so she's dealing with these fish, yada yada. He like Bjorn shows up and he's just like in the water and stuff too. So there's a moment where like you could understand, like it makes sense for him to, you know, in true fantasy fashion, be shirtless. He's like in the water or whatever. Haha. Like it makes sense for her to see him be like, okay, oh, he's hot, whatever. And that's where that should have, like their dialogue should have just been much more normal. Like the fact that she can like see that he's hot, whatever, and just keep that to herself.
What happened to hello?
Yeah.
How are you?
How are you?
What's your name?
Like when they started talking, I was like, oh, this is so, oh God. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I have secondhand embarrassment so hard.
Down bad. She might be the
horrendous,
down worst like main character we've ever had, because like, oh my God.
It's true.
Dude,
her bar is so low.
And she talks about like how things are terrible with Froggy, which like, okay, fair enough, but every 2 seconds Sis is just going on about how down bad she is. Like,
it's like you cannot go two
pick up your crown, queen, stand up.
You cannot go 2 paragraphs without this girl talking about how hot Bjorn is. And like, I get it, I guess, but like, homegirl, you gotta go like handle that and come back with like a fresh brain, because we have other stuff to worry about. You know what I mean?
Literally. She's got bigger problems. Like,
she really does. Like, and I know that's like the funny haha. It's always like, oh, you know, like this rebellion is going on, and all she can think about is like which guy she's gonna choose or whatever. Y'all don't even understand. It's worse in this book than it's ever been before. Like,
it really
homegirl, she even says to herself at one point, she's like, I should be worried about the war, but all I can think about is Bjorno. I'm like, babe.
This makes me. I'm
priorities
a little bit, but talking about their relationship too, and this just like her being down bad, having this terrible influence on her actions. There's this part where they're about to go into like one of the battles or raids that comes up throughout the book. I don't remember, and they're like at this. They're camped out like at a cave or something, and it's just the two of them. Oh, when she almost has frostbite, so he's keeping her warm. Of course he is.
Yeah,
like, you know,
this woman has frostbite.
And y'all, they start kind of they kind of doing some things and some stuff, and everyone some stuff, and like everyone, I'm pretty sure is like right there.
There's someone sleeping like a foot away from them,
and I'm like
they were in arm's reach to shove because they were snoring. That is how far away they are. A shove distance.
Like, what in the high school? Like, in the most derogatory, terrible sense. Like,
backseat of the car when your parents are taking your
what in the prom
home.
weekend
bro,
are we doing?
It's giving so high school by Taylor Swift.
Yeah, this is so high school. Derogatory. Like, yeah, anywho. They're tremendously down bad, and it's so cringy.
And then after they've done this, they constantly like flirtatiously banter. She blushing around this man all the time. They're around each other all the time. He's constantly like hovering over her like protectively. And we have from like 60% onward, every 2 chapters or so, we get this like intense reveal. There's someone's like, I know that you and Bjorn are an item. And every time Homegirl is like, how could they know?
How did they know?
My brother in
Especially, like, if you
Christ.
go back to the signs, like, they're like, we can't build a campfire because we're in a war and people are gonna know we're right here. And he's like, we need to build a campfire because Freya's toes. She's not gonna be able to walk without her toes. And they're like, dude, we're literally in a war right now. We cannot build a campfire. And it just goes back and forth. And he's like, I care about this woman's toes so much.
I need
and it's
the
like
toes
his
to be able
priorities
to
are
suck
so
them. Like, I can't lose
Bro
the toes, bro.
needs the toes.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
you
did.
Well, okay.
Hey,
And here's
listen.
the thing too. It's like, bro, just don't be so obvious, because okay, one thing I did actually like about like the setting and stuff, and I was gonna talk about this, is like frostbite and a place like this, yeah, is deadly. Like that, she very much could actually be in danger. Like that's a real, like I understood that, like for falling in water and then having to go on this trek, like yeah, bitch could freeze overnight, right? But I don't know, he's just so they make it so obvious, and I'm like, and then they're like, how did people know? How will they know?
I was
How will they know?
also this isn't fair of me, okay? I will disclaimer that, because this was like one of the most realistic parts of the book, but I didn't like that we were told like 7 times that her feet were in the one woman's armpits. I was like, okay.
It was weird.
Can we not just be under a blanket with Bjorn or something? Like, do we really need the pits? And it didn't even work. Her toes were purple. Her toes were purple when they were getting frisky under the sheets. Think about, like, bro. She was losing
And
her
clearly
toes.
he didn't care that much because he was worried about other things.
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's their whole relationship, though. Oh, yeah,
That is.
Anyway.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, we've skipped it. We've skipped way ahead. This episode's so unhinged right now.
We're actually Delulu right now. Like, getting to this book, crazy. Okay. Are we on to... Okay. So, back to the beginning of the book.
That's about the 75% mark, so we've covered a lot, but now we're going to go back to the beginning.
Roll it back, everyone. Okay, so literally, very beginning of the book, this is post when she's met Bjorno. And... and basically, Froggy goes to get the local Jarl. I say that right? Jarl?
It is Jarl, yes.
Okay. The local Jarl, and brings him to Freya because he suspects that Freya is like this like prophesized shield maiden that everyone's been looking for. I don't remember why, but he did. So, and the Jarl is looking for the shield maiden to marry because the prophecy basically says like whoever has the shield maiden will unite all of Scalanda.
Scalanda. I don't know.
Scalandioso.
Scaland?
Yeah.
With the Bjorno.
We're actually not in like a Nordic setting. This is actually Italy. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused.
The mafia romances that you all are obsessed with. Yeah. Froggy.
So, anyways, so the Jarl is like, hey, Freya and Bjorno, because of course Bjorno is with them. Y'all need to like fight to the death. And she ends up revealing her powers because she almost dies. Big surprise. And then the Jarl is like, I'm a taker. Sold. Owned. And Froggy is like, good, she fucking sucked. Anyway, hated that bitch. I'm gonna go marry her best friend and make her best friend's life a living hell. And Freya is like, you shall not. And she grabs, Bjorno is also a god-blooded child of Tyr, who's Fire Boy, and he has a fire axe, okay? So Freya grabs fire axe, sling, quack, right into Froggy's skull, and Froggy is dead. So that was like the inciting incident technically to the book.
Yes.
You know, I kind of okay, Loki. It was all very random. So there's that.
So
And
fast.
if you're listening and you're like, that's a lot to follow. Yeah, it was.
We're in chapter 2, by the way.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people to follow.
She kills toxic husband who basically
Mhm.
sold her off to someone else. And meanwhile, that someone else's son is looking at her like, damn, let me tap that. So
Kind of cute.
there's, yeah. So, but honestly, when toxic husband, when Froggy gets axed, I kind of ate. I don't know. I thought I was kind of like, this is very
I liked
random.
him.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know
down
how
for
we
the
got.
axing.
I have no idea how we got here, but I do love to see. I'm glad that he got
I thought it
killed.
was gonna be a bigger deal than it was though, because like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, her hand like burnt off and stuff, but like I thought
Gosh.
I thought I thought more people were gonna come after her over this, but everyone's just like, yeah, he kind of sucked.
Yeah.
They're
But he's like this famous warrior guy that's like
feeds the whole
blessed by the
town.
gods. Yeah, and I thought the gods were gonna come after her more, like something, but no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not that
why
big of a
is
deal.
his
Everyone's so
god
casual about
chill
it.
with
They're
it?
like, now you gotta marry this other guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
it
and
was very random. It's just so random. Yeah.
and it leads us right in from like one forced marriage into another, which like y'all already know I hate that trope. Like it was an instant negative
Yeah.
200 for me. I just hate the situation. And with Bjorno being her husband's son, like I just found it weird. Like I just don't like it. I don't know. I do not like it. And so it just set me off. I thought the event was so weird from the start of the book where she's just like bickering hard with Froggy. I was like, this is too much. Like I don't even know these people. I don't care about these people yet. Like, and now like there's a battle and there's all this stuff about like gods and god blood, and I don't even know where we are. Like it was just a lot for me, but I did like that Froggy died.
Yeah.
That's about it though.
Yeah, we didn't have enough time to set up any stakes or really like understand character motivations enough to really care. So
Yeah, the
and
stakes
like
were low.
there's a weird thread with her brother that I'm not even going to delve into
Oh
right
my
now
God.
because it makes it more confusing. But like there's too many dudes in her life that just like they all suck or they're boring or whatever, and they're just very random, and it's just you don't get a sense of her because you're only getting a sense of her through Froggy and Nubu and Nubu's dad and brother, and just very confusing off the jump. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She almost like absorbs whoever she's like dating at the time, because she was like, fish girl, I care so much about the fish, don't waste the fish. I care, like I'm so passionate about marine animals and marine biology, when she was with Froggy.
And she
And
like
then-
brings them back to life at one point, I think.
yeah, it's like
Which that was kind of just
something
skipped over.
weird. Which like the goddess she's named after is the goddess of creating life, right?
Oh, I didn't put that together.
oh, the one she's named after, yes.
Which-
Because her name's Freya, and it was like
It was Freya with a J. Freya.
Freya.
Freya. I don't remember it, but yes.
It, like
Yes.
her mom even says like she thought that she was Freya blood. Wait, we're back 90% of the book, y'all. Sorry, but like, but then it just goes nowhere because she's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, but then when she's dating Bjorno, she's like, I'm all about the bloodlust, baby. Like I'm so ready to kill everyone all the time and then feel guilty about it afterwards. But then he's like, ew, that's kind of an ick for like a woman. I kind of wish you would sew. But anyways, it's fine.
And it's like they kind of plant a little like some seeds, like the idea that she's just been like stuck in this people-pleasing family protector role her whole life because of the different stakes. And so like the idea is there that she hasn't really been able to make a life for herself and use her power and everything because she's been told not to, and to just shut up and do what her family needs her to do. And part of that was marrying Froggy, her toxic husband, right? And similarly, when she is kind of passed off to Snorri, part of it is because she's told that, like, basically it's implied that her family's safety depends on that as well. So like there is a thread to be made
Mm-hmm.
there, and I understood it at first. It's just that then as you continue out through the book, you're like waiting for her to really become her own person, to really like you're waiting for her to grow from that, and
Mm-hmm.
instead she just continues to like take on the feelings of people around her, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to that point there's potential again, but it
Yeah.
just kind of
She's
didn't
probably a type
carry.
like 9 on the Enneagram, I would say.
That is so rude of you to say. That is actually so rude, and we're gonna fight
I
after
forgot you were a
this.
type 9.
Oh, did you? Did you forget? That's
No, I didn't. I
crazy.
didn't
That's
forget.
crazy.
She definitely did not
baby.
forget.
The strays that I am receiving. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Me, as if I'm not a 9, but as if I don't always be like, oh, my new mood every 3 months, my new obsession. I'm like, I'm in my blank era, you know,
True.
like I could be in my fishmonger era. And then now
It
I'm
could
in
be.
my, you know, I don't know, whatever, born in fire era. I'm a warrior.
Born in fire.
I am a dauntless.
True.
Yeah.
Only in
So,
theory, though.
you know what? Maybe she's more relatable. Maybe she's more relatable than we think. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's true.
Maybe. But Snorri. I want to talk about Snorri, okay? Because I feel like he doesn't get enough credit, okay? Because he's kind of funny. If you start reading him like comic relief, he kind of funny, though, okay? So, Jarl Snorri. This is the like leader that decides he needs to marry the Shield Maiden because he wants to like rule over everything.
Because of a prophecy, yeah.
Because the prophecy, which was actually told, by the way, by Bjorno's mom, just to continue the connections. But he forces her into a marriage. But then he like basically doesn't care about her beyond that. Like he's like she is like essentially fated to like change everything, even though she's unfated, but she's fated, but she's unfated, but she's fated. So he's like, she won't die. Like he just does not care. He's like, the gods will not kill her. They may give her frostbite, but like she can be all right. And so he's a character that you're definitely supposed to hate, and I did. But also, like I said, he's kind of funny. He really has like a talent for gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, because anything could happen. Like a god could come down themselves and be like, you are going down the wrong path. And he's like, what they actually mean is blah, blah, blah. And he'll instantly twist the narrative and make it to like his advantage and fit what he wants. And that's kind of slay. Like I respect it. He also didn't force Freya to consummate the marriage. So that's a slay, because I did not want to read that.
Yeah.
The
Basic
bar
respect.
is so low.
The bar is so low. And
because I was like, that's a decent man. I was like, yeah, that's a good man right there.
Like, that's a real one. Let's go.
Oh man. Yeah.
And he also knew about her and Bjorn, and honestly, he was kind of chill about it. Like they kept saying,
He
like,
was.
if we get found out, he's gonna kill everyone. I'm like, I don't think he cares about you like that. Honest, like as long as I don't know, like as long as it doesn't affect like that you're working for him. He didn't really seem to care that much. He just was like, y'all really think I don't know? Like, be BFF for reals.
Right. And like keeping it on the DL enough for other people,
Yeah, the
like
other kings,
their
basically.
other kings to not look at it and think that they can like undermine his power because his son is off screwing his wife. So that's fun. When you put it that way. But yeah, no, like you know what? I think I agree with you. Maybe they can never make me hate you, Snorri. Like,
yeah,
maybe
I never hated him.
And even
I was like reasonable.
Even the one time, like, and Freya challenges him like several times in front of like the populace, and like directly disagrees with him and tells the populace to like do another thing, and she's always like, I'm gonna pay for that later, and then she never does, because he's like, I actually don't fucking care that much, as long as like eventually
he's like, we're still just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, I'm like, he's pretty
step
chill.
up from her first husband.
Literally, he's way better than Froggy. So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe he's just not as successful. I don't think he was the villain of the book. Like, I don't even know if there really was a villain of the book, to be honest with you. Like, because I didn't find the other king. His, like, foil, I guess, is supposed to be King Harland. I think it's Harland. Who's,
no
like,
idea.
the king of the, the big opposition. But, like, as soon as Harland comes on the scene, he's like, I don't want to kill anyone. Like, it's kind of gross that you're, like, killing people. And, like, it's just like not really my vibe. And I was like, we hate him? Like,
Yeah, we're supposed to think he's evil. Yeah.
Or rather, I do think Snorri. I think Snorri is definitely the villain, but the fact that we even sit here and are like, comparatively speaking, though, like, says a lot about the main characters of like.
is he more of a villain
we didn't have faith in them.
than Ylva or whatever her name is? His wife, his actual wife, because she's like antagonistic, like, and she challenges Freya
Ilva
throughout the whole.
I think
book.
we were supposed to think Ilva was the villain since like the whole the whole traitor thing. We were supposed to think she was a villain, but honestly, she was kind of. I would kind of hate it too if like my husband was married to another woman.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. I would understand
why
that.
she had to be the wife and not just like an oath sworn soldier, like a head soldier.
I wondered that too. It didn't make any sense to me. I guess because that was the prophecy.
And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The oath that she swears, like on their wedding night or whatever, in place of the consummation, they have her swear an oath, and it's like, I swear to never, harm the blood of the throne or something. And I was like, y'all made that. Like, are we not hearing the words that are being said? Because like that's a loophole. I'm just saying.
Immediately, I was like, so his son is cool. So like she can go.
Yeah, his son. Yeah,
exactly. Like his bloodline.
So obvious.
Like, are we not gonna name Snorri in the oath? Because like that's kind of important to me. Because like Snorri doesn't want her to be loyal to Bjorno.
No, and beyond that, neither does Ylva, I guess, right?
No, she hates Bjorno.
She
Bjorno isn't her son.
Right. She hates him, so it's like you would think if anything she would make like she's the one like administering, I guess, this oath or whatever, and
and she's generally
you would think
clever.
she would be specific to Snorri.
She is.
She has experience with oaths and magic.
She does.
So at least name like Snorri and Leaf, which is like her actual son that she wants to rule the throne, which he was a weird character anyway. We don't have to talk about it, but like
oh yeah, I forgot that he's
Control F delete Leaf, because like that was so fucking pointless.
There's too many threads. I think that's part of one of my biggest criticisms, just following the story. There's too many threads. We just gotta cut down.
I think this book was killed by over planning and over plotting.
Yeah.
To the point where it was all really obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that would also help with a lot of the other issues of just like characters' motivations. I feel like they're not like fully fleshed out. Like I think if you gave them less outs with all these weird little threads and like things like that, like poorly written oaths intentionally, like if you made the stakes higher and you decreased the different threads and ways out, their motivations would be more clear. They would have to make choices. You would learn more about their characters and they would have this more like concrete individuality, I think. So just cut all the excess, give them less outs, and then you learn more about them individually and like their motivations, right? Like their choices.
And I think to your point about the stakes, like this was something that bothered me too, is like, so I think everyone is aware, if you've read more than like 3 books in your lifetime, you're almost always in like a book written for an adult audience. You're going to have a character that's positioned for you to like get really attached to, and then they're going to die. And that's going to be kind of an emotional lever in the book to like make you feel something. And in this book, she does that like 3 times, but because she does it 3 times and so quickly after we meet these characters, it doesn't really matter. So like the first one was Liv, who was like a healer that we talked to and Bjorno had like a good relationship with. And then we had Bodil, who was a female Jarl. We had her for like 2 chapters and then she dies.
And I liked her, but not enough to care, right? Exactly. Like I was interested by her, but not long enough. Yeah,
she did give us her armpits in the frostbite. And then we had her mother, who we meet for the first time. Next scene, she's dead.
Yeah,
the healer Leaf.
Am I making that up? Or Liv?
And the part where they're
maybe it's
they're going
Leaf.
to Leaf.
It's Leaf.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was literally like Leaf.
I thought it was Liv. I was like, this is an Olivia out here in Nordland. That makes a lot
Live,
more sense.
live.
Eve.
Or like when they try to hold so when Freya's thinking about leaving at one point or not like fighting with Snorri, um he, uses her brother as leverage again,
Yeah.
even though we've learned at the beginning of the book that she doesn't her brother Loki kind of sucks and like she only does that out of obligation to keep him safe, like doesn't really care. But then remember they like throw in like, oh, and his wife is pregnant.
Pregnant.
So like
She's
you have to
pregnant.
keep the baby safe. And it's like, this
His
is
wife
so
who also
random.
sucks and
It's
doesn't value you.
so yeah. I'm like, that is so unbelievably random. Like the stakes are not high enough. I don't know. There's just too many little outs and like
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody could have
Like
lived or died, and we would not blink an eye.
yeah.
Like,
No.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. True. And so the one thing, okay, and that brings me to like all the concerns we have for this book. I was really excited going into this because we read Bridge Kingdom with Danielle L. Jensen, and one thing that we thought that she got really good was the like kind of setting and environment itself, and it was interesting and descriptive in a way, and immersive in a way that I think a lot of other romanticises could build from. So for this, we were really excited to be in this like Nordic fantasy world where you have these gods who can sire children and people inherit their powers and just this really cool tie into a type of mythology that I feel like isn't covered a lot in
Mm-hmm.
kind of current romantasy. But again, left with just like a lot of potential and a lot of threads that I would like to see more of and things I would have liked to see cut, right? So I think something that we probably kind of agree on is like finding the concept of having these gods who like sire children as interesting, right? And these gods who kind of
Mm-hmm.
have their unique abilities and powers and like how that has an impression on their children. So again, like with Freya, we see these kind of like this darker side of her, and then that calls into question like what her real identity is. And I think that that could have been done really well. I also just some very more like surface level things like I was excited for Nordic kind of environment, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like these really cool forests and mountainscapes, and we get some references to that when she's like climbing the mountain when she gets frostbite in the cold. But it honestly just didn't do as much for me as like Bridge Kingdom in terms of the descriptiveness, and I'm sad about that because I think this author can do that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It felt like you guys know the TikTok videos where it's like someone talking or explaining a concept on the top half and then the bottom half is like Subway Surfer, someone playing like a game or like
Yeah.
someone hopping around in Minecraft. That's what it felt like. Is like she would deliver pieces of like lore and like I can tell that
mm-hmm.
she like planned this book out so seriously and she did a
Yeah,
lot of research and there's like a lot of lore behind it, but like she's always like don't freak out though, like Bjorn is here, Bjorn's so hot, look, just focus on the Bjorn and tolerate my lore, focus on the Bjorn, tolerate my lore. And it's like I didn't need that, like I needed more lore than Bjorn. And
mm-hmm.
she just, I feel like she wasn't confident enough that that would be interesting in and of itself, that she
Yeah,
like almost leaned on the romance too much.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even say it was romance though, because it was like objectification on both sides
Mm-hmm.
from people around them too. Because all the other
Mm-hmm.
women in the book were like, yeah, Bjorn's so hot. Like, he's just like
Mm-hmm.
a piece of meat, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
then with Freya, it was the same thing. Like, people around her would like objectify her, including, I think Ilva did at one point, and like, so including women would like objectify her. And she's supposed to be this like really beautiful, crazy, beautiful woman, and everybody knows it. And it's like, they were just, we've talked about it already, but they were just so simple. And I don't think with as simple characters as they were that we could even call this like a romance. Like I really don't. I don't think it was romantic.
Yeah.
No.
And to your point, Maddie, too, about like wondering if, if she wondered if maybe people wouldn't be interested enough in the lore, like I could definitely see that in terms of like what kind of sells in the current kind of romantasy space.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're in a minority here, but I'm like, I don't know. I think a lot of people again, I think to some things like Serpent where the romance is there, but it is secondary to the
Yes.
quest, to the goal, to the main character's motivations. Like, let's spend more time about Freya, even if spending time on Freya is talking about the fact that all she's done really at this point in her life is suppress her powers and make her family happy. But like, we can
Mhm.
build on her more
Mhm.
and then bring
Mhm.
everyone else in. Like,
Mhm.
there just wasn't a
And
foundation enough. Yeah.
it goes back to them needing to have their own motivations because like with Serpent and the Wings of the Night, we loved that book because it was like they were still willing to kill each other for
Mhm.
their goals. Like they were
Mhm.
willing to
Yes.
literally fight to the death for their goals. And
Yes.
like this book was just so different because they threw everything else to the side because they loved, I put in quotes, I think it was lust, but they lusted after each other so hard
Mhm.
that they were willing to just like forget everyone else, forget everything else, like to the point where Freya was literally considering letting her whole family die
Yeah.
except for this baby, this
Right.
imaginary baby or whatever. Like which
Yeah, we
was
don't even
kind
know
of
if
out of
she's pregnant.
character for her. Yeah, we don't even know if that's true. Um yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, just icky.
Yeah.
So simple.
It was just too much. It was just too much. And I wonder too, like, so thinking about Bridge Kingdom, I think I could definitely see how she could have gotten feedback on that book that the world building and lore was kind of like overwhelming the romance and that the romance wasn't present enough, because I think we kind of felt like we didn't really care too much about like their relationship, and like it wasn't very like well developed, but we were really obsessed with the world building. So I can see how from that book to this book, it might have just been like a complete overcorrection where she was like, okay, people don't
True.
want world building, people don't want lore, they want romance and they want dialogue and banter and blah 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 blah. But I don't know, homegirl needed a little help. She needed a beta reader.
She did. She really did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel bad. I feel bad for hating on this book so much, but like
Yeah,
I don't it was just so anyway, we'll
yeah,
get to that with ratings, but
it's fine. Okay, so just to close out like where we land with the plot, as we've kind of mentioned, we're kind of just at war, or approaching war with this other big power, Nordland, which is the land or kingdom that kidnapped Bjorno when he was a bab, and allegedly killed his mom, allegedly. And so
allegedly.
there are like a couple threads to deal with this in the end. The first one being that like early on in the book, Freya overhears this like mysterious woman traitor talking to the king of Nordland and basically like conspiring with him. And he mentioned something about like mothers will do anything for their sons or whatever. And so Freya immediately assumes that it is Ilva, whatever her name is, who is Snorri's wife that she just hates, honestly. And every time she brings it up to Bjorno, he's like, I really don't think it's Ilva. I really just have a feeling it's not her. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, it's definitely her. Why not? But like, obviously Bjorno knows who it is. And she just never asks him or presses him about like why he's so sure, really, to get like an answer. For me reading, I knew immediately this was Bjorno's mom. I was like, we've been told about like two moms in the whole story, and it's obviously not Ilva. So Bjorno's mom has to be alive. She's probably fucking the other king. It's probably this whole thing where like it's subverting expectations and da 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 da. Because why is Bjorno so chill with it? And also, other evidence his mom was alive was like the specter. There's so many threads, y'all. The specter that like keeps appearing to Freya.
Oh
They're like,
yeah.
that's definitely his mom, and Bjorno is just like, yeah, dude. He like just does not react or care at all, and I'm like, that's not a boy who's mourning his mother. Like, anyways,
That's
I don't know. It
true.
was just like a
I
weird
didn't
thread,
even catch that.
and it was
You're
his
so
mom.
smart.
Same. There's so many threads that I honestly didn't even pick up on that. But yeah, you're
Probably
right.
because we didn't care,
No.
honestly.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. It just came up all the time, and it was just kind of like this recurring thing that she just like complained about, and then Bjorn was like, please stop talking about it, and she was like, I shan't. That's really all it was. There's not a whole lot more to say about that thread, honestly. Like,
Yeah, it when we talk about there being low stakes and stuff, like the fact that I don't know, not only that, but just the fact that these characters like won't pick up on like the smallest things. I'm like, this is just getting annoying. Like, I don't believe you. I don't believe that you don't know.
yeah,
I don't believe you.
exactly.
And then the big reveal,
Yep.
the quote big reveal that I think all three of us saw coming. Like a big quote turn of events. This like other kingdom, Nordland, I don't know what it's called. Comes back for this war and like wants Freya, demands Freya, and there's like this kind of fight, but not really. It's like really underwhelming. And then Freya and Bjorn fake their deaths by like falling down this waterfall that comes out of nowhere that I didn't even know was there. And then the Jarl of this other kingdom comes, and it turns out that Bjorn was like not kidnapped as a child, or he wasn't treated badly, and he actually considers this other Jarl his dad. They have like a relationship, and yeah, Freya feels betrayed. And why are you guys laughing? Was that a bad oversimplification?
No.
I was laughing at Maddie for just.
Oh, okay.
Papa.
I was like, did I do that?
Because at one point in the ending conversation, he's like, Papa,
"Are you my dad, Papa?"
Father, and she's like, "That's not your dad," and he's like, "But he is."
But he is. Oh
Sorry,
my god,
sorry.
dude!
It just was so. It was just so
everything like, happens. It's so random, and in the end, it happens so fast. And like, yeah. And then like jumping off the waterfall, like this is the most random thing in the entire world. That they're just like, yeah. Also, because it's like if the whole point was to run away, y'all couldn't have done that differently than jumping off a waterfall.
No, because she considered it Abby, and then the brother's wife was pregnant. Is the only
Oh
way.
right, yeah. Right.
Faking
yeah,
their deaths
sorry, you're right.
Which
you're
that
right.
part I actually didn't see coming, faking their deaths. I did not see that coming. That was smart.
That's because it was so
But the
fucking
whole-
random.
It was. The waterfall part actually, I think, made me chuckle a little bit. Because I was like, where did this waterfall come from? Like, where was the world building that, like, hinted, like, oh, yeah, there's this beautiful waterfall, like, off to the side. There was none of that. It was just like, oh, by the way, let's jump over the waterfall that's there. And
which,
like,
by the way, the... Freya initially just again for the second time in the book just tries to kill herself as a solution to the problem.
Oh yeah.
And she tries to throw herself off the waterfall, and Bjorno is like, "Didn't do that. That's bad." And then about I don't know, maybe 8 paragraphs later, he's like, "We're going off the waterfall."
Yeah, he's like
now
okay,
that it's my idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah, let the man speak. Let the man.
And that goes back to
idea.
him making decisions for her constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, I have an excellent idea. Let's do what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, here's my big gripe with this ending scene, because it's not that the twist was painfully obvious. It's not that she definitely could have figured out the whole book, okay? My big problem is that we've been hiding out in what I presume is a cave, and like having relations and having a great time, according to Freya. And then the next morning, she just wakes up with a feeling that something is not right. And she's suddenly so suspicious. And she's suddenly asking him questions about his childhood and how it was, like, how he feels about being a prisoner in Nordland. And she just all of a sudden is like thinking really critically about this and is wondering if she has missed something. And then she walks out of the cave into like the king of the other country. And I was like,
priorities, ma'am.
You genuinely like took the barbs out of this already mid twist by having her figure it out right before. Like, we had kind of like a perfect honeymoon phase set up where they could have just like been making cute plans about like how their life was going to be, and she finally felt like she was validated and she was getting what she wanted and she was cared for and blah 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 blah. Bang, the other king is there. And even as she tries to like fight him at first, because she's like, you can't take me and Bjorn, like we're so close to happiness, but instead she's like, Fucking right. I knew it. And it just makes it so underwhelming. Like, I do not understand why that happened that way.
Yeah,
it was to
just
throw
like
in some
everything
spice.
about it.
We talked about this before the episode too, but like it was to throw in some spice, just to call this a spicy book because that's what's popular.
Y'all,
and it was so unnecessary. And like I'm saying, this woman cannot prioritize to save her life. Like she has frostbite and she's thinking about, you know, having relations, and then they just fake their deaths. They're not even thinking about making some distance between them and these other people that they're trying to get away from. They're just like, where are their priorities? Like, they're 12-year-olds. That's what's wrong. 12-year-olds who just hit puberty.
And especially if you're gonna throw it in at the end, like I really, we were talking about this earlier as well, and I think you had a good way of putting it, Kaylee. Like, and I'm talking about Serpent in the Wings of Night again because it's something we've read that's like similar, you know, another romantasy, and but the one that we liked, and that is kind of similar in that story where some of that's kind of thrown in toward the end, but like it's for a particular reason. It makes sense. Like this just feels so rushed and random. I don't know. It just like why? That's all I have to say to that.
For why?
We don't need to do all that. Yeah.
You can't convince me that Freya is smart. Like, it's too late. We're like 300 pages in. I know the bitch is dumb. Like, it's over for her.
If I just faked my death and was running away, like I think I'd be focused on just like getting like, let me just get to my destination real quick, you know? Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like, can we focus?
But she's like, but Bjorn is so hot, guys. He's so hot.
Right, sorry.
Did you forget he's so hot? Like
literally, how could I forget?
How could you forget?
Yeah.
Impossible.
Anyway.
I mean, her purple toes are really like attractive. Like, we really need to acknowledge that fact.
Hot.
Okay, anyways. The whole episode has been our hot takes. But guys, we've officially landed in the everyone's favorite part of the pod, which is our official hot takes and our pour overs. So I'll start. Snorri is the only well-written character in the entire book. I'm sorry to say it. He's the only one that genuinely has his own motivations. He's clever enough to manifest them and rework every situation to his narrative and his advantage. He lets Freya have some wins, so she feels like she's like a little in control where it matters, even though he knows he's still pulling the strings and like he's gonna get what he wants. And yeah, I don't know how we landed here where the only character I respect is Snorri. But here we are.
T.
That's totally fair. I have no objections.
He's a girl boss.
I think you're right. I fear he might be.
He may be the best character.
The bar is so low.
Yeah, I do fear.
Maybe in book 2 we get like a Snorri Freya romance.
We'll never know.
We will never know. Okay, and then my pour over. This was difficult because I literally, this book sent me into like a comatose reading slump. But if there's anything I'll think about, I did like the reveal that the other goddess, the other god blood, I guess I should say, belonged to the goddess Hel, which is basically like, it seems like it's kind of their Hades, like their big bad evil sort of goddess thing. So I like that, and I'd like to know more about Hel because she seems like kind of a slay. But I do not care enough to continue reading the series. So that is where it will remain.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Well, I can jump into mine. Yeah, I'm trying to collect my brain cell because really, like, this whole episode has been a hot take. Just the one. Okay, so my hot take, guys. I need everyone to listen. Okay, we got to put our listening ears on. We have to stop hyping up these books where these, like, particularly male main characters, but the love interest, they lose their entire personality just to protect and obsess over their love interest. Get him a personality, damn it. And the reason why I'm telling y'all to put your listening ears on is I need us to ask ourselves, do we really want a boring personality-less man or person obsessing over us? Do we? We don't. We deserve better than that, okay? I need him to have some interest. I
We
need this
do.
person to be interesting, or else, like, that's not hot. Like, you can be hot with, like, I love a good himbo, okay? They serve their purpose, but that's
At least
just
they're
not gonna
like
do it.
kind towards others,
Yeah,
other than they're
literally,
really
that's still
interesting.
better. Like, yeah, so we need a little something going on, a little something going on up here before I can think they're hot, okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to really reevaluate if obsessing over the female main character is enough. He should be obsessed with you anyway, but he should also have a lot of shit going on. So, T. And then my pour over, yeah, I was interested in the Norse mythology aspect of it all, but I just feel like we didn't get enough of it. Maybe it'd be a cool movie if you get a cool screenwriter on it. I don't know. You'd have to do a lot of changing of like the character motivations and character development, but you'd have to do a lot of reworking. But there's a world where like the framework for it is cool. The Norse mythology of it all is cool. But yeah, then I don't really have anything to add. So
you know what is one interesting thing, Abby, is so like we're told that all the children, like their parents or parent had to like actually sleep with like the god to make the baby. Okay, it makes sense. It's giving Greek mythology, right? But like when Hlyn comes, she just gives a little on either side of Freya's mom's cheek, and she's like, "That's all I need from you." Are these gods like, like, do they need to be doing all this stuff they doing? Like, that's a little crazy. I wish we had addressed it a little bit, because like, it's a little
there's a little something going on there. Yeah,
something.
no, I had the same thought of like, okay,
I didn't even think of that, but that's amazing.
T. But yeah, so like, I don't know.
Not that it matters.
There's something. Not that it matters, but that was like, yeah, one of the more interesting things of the book is that dynamic. So I wish we would have more of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's all I got.
Okay. My hot take, not very hot, but this book is literally Bridge Kingdom, but worse. And like with a spicier male lead, I guess. Because it's like, okay, we have two simple characters. There's forced marriage.
That's so true.
There's a woman who is forced to reframe the way she thinks about this society she's grown up in.
Oh, shit.
Because of a man who they love, who betrays them, who's a part of this other secret society. It's literally the same thing. It's the same thing.
You might be cooking there, Kaylee.
You're so right. That's crazy. You are so right. You're so valid and smart.
Okay, literary analysis. Yeah, that is. I did. Yeah,
and like
I was
Danielle,
thinking
girl,
like surface level comparison, but like,
yeah,
something different. Give us something different.
Get a new plot.
I will not. I will say I will not ever read another Danielle book. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
I'm done. I've been given it 2 shots. I can't.
The cover fooled us.
I did like the setup for.
It did. And I like the idea.
The setup for Bridge Kingdom.
Yeah,
I might give it. I'd give one more. I give one more try. I do one more try. Not for this series.
You might do that on your own time.
Yeah, not for this pod. We will not be doing that.
Not we. Just
oh my god.
Maybe.
Okay, my pour over. Not. I'm not really honestly pouring over this. It's a lie. I'm lying. But the one thing that I'm allegedly still pouring over with this book is how much Freya's whole family like sucked, but like he seems so surprised by it. Like, did they not? Why are you guys laughing at?
You're just so funny.
But it's amazing for you to be like, I'm not pouring over this,
I'm lying.
and then be like, the thing in question is, so they suck.
So you agree?
Well, no, that's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting at, how did Freya not realize they sucked prior to this? Like, we're acting like this is a big realization. Like, she's having this intense, like, conflict in her head of, like, my family really sucks, but, like, I love them. And it's like, girl, have they not sucked your entire life? Like, yeah. I was not.
And there are
just
several points.
Surprised.
Yeah, where she, like, comes to that conclusion and then talks herself out of it, which drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's fine.
No, you're completely
Critical
right.
thinking.
Uh,
Okay. We'll end it off with our ratings and our favorite
release
parts.
us.
So my rating, I'm gonna leave it low. I'm gonna go 2.5 out of 5. The more we talk about it, the more I hate this book. So 2.5 out of 5. Fave part, because I have to come up with a fave part. I don't have one, but it's when Freya killed her husband, because that's the only time I was surprised in this book.
Mm-hmm. Down
Yeah.
with Froggy. Yeah.
I agree.
So my rating is a 2 of 5. I don't know. There's not much more to say on that. My favorite part was that her meet cute with Bjorno was her throwing like a half dead fish at him and him being like, "Whoa." I thought that was funny. And then
It was a good setup, and then the
went-
rest of the book.
as soon as the man opened his mouth, I was like, "Oh,
No.
okay." But you know, if we can live just in that moment where she's frantically,
If we can
throwing fish back
imagine
to
the entire
sea,
book,
yeah. If we just live there, that was my favorite part.
I like it.
Yeah. So I too am going to go down on the reduce what I had here. I had 2.75 out of 5. I'm also going to do a 2.5 out of 5. Yeah, it's just too many threads, too much happening, potential, but too much happening. My favorite part, because there's so many threads, I also remembered when this happened, so I'm gonna consider it a cool part. There was like this kind of cool scene where like you find out like what Freya's real kind of like backstory is, and like I don't know, where basically her chest is like ripped open, and it's like this like cool like dramatic kind of gory scene that is kind of cool as shit, and then it gets completely forgotten. And yeah, like everything else
Honestly,
in this book,
yeah,
it just kind of is
you're
random.
so
So
right. That scene ate, but I completely forgot about it because they just never address it ever again.
I don't remember that at all, I'll be honest.
it's like when the god, like they're seeing if the gods are loyal to her basically, or like her god
Yeah, if
is
she
loyal
can like
to
get
her,
accepted
and
by Lynn
yeah,
and get like the tattoo
yeah.
and anyways, it doesn't matter.
And there's like this dramatic thing that only she can see that happens, and it's like very gory, very like detailed. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool, but it also happened early on, and then everything else happened, so you forget. But
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So if everyone has said their piece, that is all the tea we have on A Fate Inked in
There was a
Blood.
lot of tea.
There was so much tea.
I'm sorry if you like this book.
I'm really sorry, but also like I urge you to have self-love and worth, because I think you need to set the bar a little.
you could be neutral on it. Like it was a thing that happened. You know, it was a book that you read.
Yeah. If this
I
is
think
your
that's fair
favorite book
enough.
of the year, I love you, and that's okay. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. I will unfollow you on Goodreads, but that's okay. That's all right. Okay. Anyways.
But your feelings are valid.
They're so valid. And like, you know, Danielle needs to get her check. So I love that for her.
True. Love that.
Next time we're spilling the definitive tea on reading formats. So we're going to be talking about audiobook versus Kindle versus physical book. And we are not going to just do the same old pros and cons that you've read 100 times and heard. We are actually delving into the nitty gritty about how these formats affect your reading experience, and also like it can affect your feelings of the book, as we've seen in previous pod episodes, because sometimes I have a complaint that Kaylee doesn't have because she listens to an audiobook. Anyways, spoilers, but that we're going in, okay? It's worth a listen. You can also stay up to date with the latest tea on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube by following us at Spill the Novel Tea on all the things. And while you're there, please let us know. Did this book live up to that hype for you? Did you like the Buongiorno di Giorno pizza? Will you be reading the next book? what is your hot take? We need more information because we are never going to read this or think about this like ever again. So feel free to hop in and let us know what you think. And we will see you next time.
Bye.